So what we want to present to all of you is an AI application that we did implement in Tenneco, and it's a cooperation with Yazzoom, who helped us with the AI technology. Where are we situated? Like in the introduction said, from we are a car component manufacturer, very specifically shock absorbers. Most of us don't know Tenneco, but for sure, if we talk about Monroe, everybody will know who we are. We are a high volume production supplier, meaning typically in a production plant, we make more than 30,000 shock absorbers every day. So it makes that we have a lot of automation running in our facilities. And there the challenge is always to get the most out of these very expensive installations. And one of the things that we see happening in these automated systems is OEE performance, and to bring it up to a significant level. And what you always have is from availability and quality performance, we always get very good because these are downtimes and quality issues. But what we see is from that in these kind of lines, we have a lot of performance losses. These are not stops, but these are slowdowns. And in the slowdowns, to give you an idea, typically we run around 4 or 5 seconds cycle times. So every second that we lose is in fact 20–30% of our output. So seconds become very important. And yeah, it's very clear that seconds can be lost in quite a lot of locations. Vibration balls that are running empty, pneumatic cylinders that start to move slower due to friction, vacuum systems that are a little bit contaminated, scanners that read longer due to contamination of parts. So a lot of areas where we can lose a few seconds. This is also the reason why conventionally we could not find the solution, because conventionally in improving cycle times or making cycle times stable, we in fact would cut everything into smaller pieces and try to put limits on those small steps. But what we have is in these machines, you have more than 500 movements that are orchestrated in a machine. So it's very difficult, not saying impossible, to identify which are important movements to control and how to put the limits on. And that's a little bit where we felt from conventionally we could not solve it. And it's a little bit where Yazzoom helped us, and I hand it over to Jan.
Thank you, Stefan.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So when we heard this problem statement, we advised to make use of machine learning-based anomaly detection. And what is that? That is typically using AI algorithms that learn from historical data how the system, in this case a production line, operates in normal operating when it's at good speed, and then subsequently detects deviations from this way of good operation and alerts people about these deviations by raising an anomaly score which goes high. And the second capability that was requested by Tenneco is to be able to identify which of these anomalies really matter, really have a high probability of affecting the total cycle time, and ignoring all kinds of smaller anomalies that or bigger anomalies, but that do not affect the overall cycle time, because that was the main goal, reduce the overall cycle time. And this we can do both on data that is of a Boolean nature, that is used by the control software on the machine, but also by sensor data. And this will now be explained by Stefan.
Yeah. So what we did do quite some time ago is we did set up a proof of concept. And the proof of concept of what we did do is we took the PLCs of our machines, and we dumped all I/O data following what Yazzoom proposed us from to make models on that and to evaluate if there are some sequencing deviations happening. And in fact, from what we learned is from thinking wrongly that these machines run very stable, we could see that these machines are in fact only 40% of the time running always in the same sequence, but 60% of the time out of sequence. They are not stopped, but they are just slowed down due to a very small component in these machines. And that's also where we notice from, well, the AI is helping us to show that we have an opportunity, but it did not yet help us in fixing the problem, meaning from something that is very important to highlight is machines, in our case, cannot fix themselves. So we still have people around the machine that need to fix it. So for that was a very important lessons learned from us from if we shape an AI application, we need to shape it which can support the people in taking the correct actions. And that's a little bit from in the next 4 slides. We want to be sure that we can share some of the best practices and how we think that we could involve the operators around the issues that AI is detecting. And one important thing is from structuring the data. Structure the data to enable the right location identification where we have issues. And all these big installations, yeah, it's important that we know where the problem is. And where it is, you see on the screen from, we split it up, every station of the machine, into smaller functional pieces, the core process, material in and out, and the controls, to be sure that if the AI detects something, we at least know the 10 centimeters where we need to look, let's say, in this installation. That was important. The other topic is the data needs to be visible for the operators. Not at the end of the week, but at the moment that we have issues, because all these issues that we have, yeah, they are there, but they are not continuously there. So they disappear, they appear. So that's why we have live evaluation data. Again, there, the Yanomaly status dashboard that we did get from Yazzoom is making this possible. So we have one overview of the full installation with all the stations in, all the movements in, and we can easily drill down into the details. And just as an example on what to expect from this, if you have a multi-station machine, so the AI will help us in clarifying. We have in station 15 a pick and place module where the downward movement gripper is behaving very strange. It's a abnormality that is being detected. This is the target now. The operator goes and see. He is looking at the gripper movement. He sees that there is a part under an angle, for instance, because the tooling is worn. So that's his analysis. AI will not do that for us. He can implement immediately the solution by replacing the tool, adjust the position, and we can continue. This is for us a very important lessons learned and an advice for everybody that is working around it. Not only focus on the AI itself, but also how to use the AI. Third advice that we can make is from make transparent which abnormalities are really important. Because in all these installations, there is a lot of things happening and a lot of things that are variating. But the tool should help you in identifying what is key. And there is an example in here that I just put in as a demonstration from. There are signals that sometimes are fast, sometimes are slow. And in this example, the AI tool is making the analysis from, is there a relation between a slow and a fast movement of this action in comparison with the output of the machine? And in this case, you would see, yes, there is, but there are a lot of cases where abnormality of certain movements are not affecting at all the machine output. So we should not focus on that. And then the last topic is something that we also learn from. Choose the right platform, because we always look for one solution. But I think from there, Jan, you could also provide some extra explanation on this.
Yeah, I think here is indeed an aspect where we could, let's say, accelerate the progress for Tenneco by leveraging our own software product called Yanomaly, which is a specific software with different types of AI algorithms, but all focused on analyzing machine data and data of production lines. And for our own product roadmap, but also working with other customers, we had already implemented a whole series of algorithms that subsequently turned out then to be also useful for Tenneco, and in this way speeding up the progress. And this is about detecting that parameters are sometimes changed at unexpected moments, or that certain sensor signals are abnormal, and this through both univariate and multivariate anomaly detection. We can do that. And finally, to detect drift in certain sensor values or in metrics that are computed in our important KPIs. And in addition to these algorithms, the message that we wanted to pass on is that it's important that when such anomalies are detected, you make it as easy as possible for the people that need to investigate to do that investigation and go from, hey, there's an anomaly, to the decision, what is really going on and what should I do? And for that reason, there are a number of graphical user interfaces implemented in Yanomaly, and you see two examples on the right-hand side here that show exactly, hey, this signal, for example, the value is exceptionally high at this particular moment in time, and you can see how it behaved before that, and similarly also for drift detection. So yeah, word back to you, Stefan.
Okay, thank you. Now, as last slide, what we also wanted to share is from what is the benefit of the system that we created. And we already explained a few of the benefits in the previous slides, but the most important one is easy replication of the system, because I think for everybody that already tried out AI, it's a long-term project, which is, I think, normal. But what is important is from that we find the trick to replicate quickly. So commonality of what we are developing is key in there, and that's what we see that we have now. We have this monitoring solution in a box. We have a methodology now, a system and a methodology, which in fact is now for us capable to install in 3-4 weeks the system as a replication, meaning from installing it, configure it in the PLC, categorizing, which was important in there, to actually collect data for model creation. We have a system live in 3-4 weeks, and that's important. Why is it important for us? Because we also have the strategic decision done that production lines of substantial capex, we will always install these monitoring boxes. So we need to be sure that we can replicate quickly.
Okay.
That is the end of the. Yep.
Thank you very much for sharing all these best practices. Very interesting. Just to look at the question box, we have some questions popping up. The first question is from Sasha van den Bosche. AI-based anomaly detection can provide an important amount of information, but part of the challenge is to know what to do with the information. How did you work around this challenge?
Yeah, so this is in fact the lessons learned that we also had from that. We started with the proof of concept from, okay, here is all the data, please tell us what to do. And we saw that this is not working. So we turned back the situation and we said from, yeah, what can we do? And in fact, we have operators that can go to certain areas of the machine and they can analyze and replace and correct the machine. And that is the focus on how the AI should help us. Because it's true from, we could also collect the temperature of the outside environment, which maybe also affected it somehow, but we cannot adjust that. So it's key that with all the data that is being analyzed, we always need to be aware that we choose data that we can also adjust. Otherwise, we fall into the pitfall from, yeah, we see that it's not good, but we cannot do anything about it.
Okay, good. I have another question, I think more for Jan. Can we know which algorithm you found to be the best for anomaly detection in your implementation?
Well, actually, we have different algorithms. So on the previous slide, I showed signal validation, which is rather simple techniques, actually doing basic trend checks on the signal, learning normal ranges, normal fluctuations, normal gradients, and then detecting deviations from that. But I've also shown drift, and we have done several man-months of research, finding out, reading literature, different drift algorithms, and then selecting those that work best for industrial data and integrating those into the product. But then we have our multivariate anomaly detection that learns the relationship between different sensors and is a complete own development that you cannot find anywhere open source. It's building on top of what is available open source, but it's combining different machine learning techniques and statistics, and then adding nice graphical user interfaces and a scalable software architecture on top of that. So yes, that I'm not going to disclose how exactly we do that, but that's not everything. So the algorithm, for example, for analyzing the binary signals, in the beginning in the proof of concept, Stefan showed we worked primarily on the Boolean signals of the control software. We have already 3 of those, right? Because with different customers, we see different issues in this Boolean data. In the case of Stefan at Tenneco, all the changes from 0 to 1 and back to 0 are precisely captured, right? They are captured as events. But in other cases, they are sampled, and sometimes the sampling is too slow. And in between 2 sampling moments, it has changed from 0 to 1 and back to 0, and you don't see anything in the data, which led us to invent different types of algorithms, but again with the same goal of detecting deviations in the process execution. We call this process mining based anomaly detection. So yeah, it's I can say we are now 6 years doing R&D on this topic, and all of this has been integrated into our product. And yeah, there's just a lot of value in that, I think. That
maybe then we can have a last question then also, because there are also different questions popping up. But the last question from Bert van den Berg: the monitoring in a box is reusable for the same kind of machines, or can you use it for very different kind of installations?
Yeah, this was the key development from it is reusable for all kind of machines, and because we also have all our machines are completely different, so it always works on the same method. From every machine has a PLC with signals and with I/O signals on. We have the monitoring of the box. We connect it to all the I/Os of the machine. We learn the model, and we start anomaly detection. So it's a system that is able to be installed on every machine. Yeah.
Okay, great. So thank you very much, Stefan and Jan, for your presentation and for this brief Q&A.